Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to our Ohel Moed. In the Torah, when the Jewish people gathered in the wanderings through the wilderness, they met in the place called Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting. It was not only the center point for the Jewish community as they made their way through the wilderness, it was also, and especially, the place where they encountered the divine. So here we are in our Ohel Moed, our tent of meeting. May it be a place where each of us feels seen, each of us feels safe, each of us sees the other truly, deeply, and intimately. May it be a place where our prayers are heard on high. May it be a place where love and the divine are felt. Welcome again. I'm Rabbi Jonathan Blake. I'm so happy to share in this sweet Shabbat, the first Shabbat of the month of June, which is Pride. And so this is a Pride Shabbat. And we will honor the LGBTQ community. We will celebrate them. And we will also acknowledge them through song and prayer. So our musical selections tonight are representative of composers in the Jewish world from the LGBTQ community. And later on, our message this evening, which will be offered by our own Rabbi Leah Citrin on her first Shabbat at WRT as a rabbi of the congregation. You'll hear more of Rabbi Citrin's story. We'll also acknowledge the meaning of this moment. 50 years ago today, a woman named Sally Priesand stood on the bima of the Plum Street Temple in Cincinnati, Ohio, and accepted rabbinical ordination, becoming the first woman ordained as a rabbi. That was 50 years ago today. And so we also celebrate her and her legacy. Indeed, there is a direct line from the ordination of Rabbi Sally Priesand to the welcoming of Rabbi Leah Citrin as a rabbi of Westchester Reform Temple. And so our hearts are really full tonight. We'd love for you to take a moment and experience the joy of making a new friend, greeting a new face, wishing one another Shabbat Shalom. Even if that means you have to get up out of your seat to find somebody you haven't met yet, do that now. Spend a few moments, and when you hear us start to sing, it's time to return to your seats. So welcome once again to our Pride Shabbat, our first melody by Chava Mirel. All of our music tonight gives honor and celebrates the contributions of Jewish composers who are part of the LGBTQ community. I'm Rabbi Jonathan Blake. I'm joined this evening on the bima by Cantor Danielle Rodnizky, and I'm just going to go in directional order. Our temple president, Warren Haber, on the flute, Idan Santaus, on percussion, Jerome Morris, on the keys, Pete Malin-Verney. We're joined in the congregation by Cantor Amanda Kleiman, Rabbi Leah Citrin, who began as the newest rabbi of the congregation on, what's today? Friday? You started 2 days ago?
Wednesday.
June 1,
Yeah.
on Wednesday? Good. You feeling it yet? Good. So we welcome Rabbi Leah Citrin. We also welcome her family. She's joined by her husband, Rabbi Brian Nelson. He is holding the newest arrival to the Citrin-Nelson household. That is Maya Yael. In the front row with the amazing shoes that were a gift of her Aunt Abby is Eliana Citrin-Nelson. And of course, proud mom and dad, Joanne and Barry, as always, feel like you're always here because you are. It's wonderful to have you as well. So Shabbat Shalom. This is a weekend of simcha, of joy. In particular, Brian Goldban is feeling the joy because tomorrow he will be called forward to the Torah in celebration of Bar Mitzvah. So we would love for Brian, accompanied by his brother, sister, mom, and dad, to come forward and help us kindle these lights for Shabbat. Amen. So even as you have brought light into our Ohel Moed, our tent of meeting, tomorrow you will share with your loved ones. We see a lot of the friends and family of Brian and his loved ones, the light of Torah. And we hope that that light will glow not just throughout this joyful Shabbat, but for the rest of your lives. Mazel tov, it's wonderful to have you joining our service tonight. Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
We'll continue with Kabbalat Shabbat, the Psalms that help us continue to welcome in Shabbat with Shir Chadash on page 131.
Song, I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru, shiru, l'Adonai. Shiru, sing unto God a new song. 138. Just watch our hands for when it's time to stand and welcome the Shabbat bride. 138, Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'mitila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela.
Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha,
Ki mekor ha'bracha, Merosh mikerem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshav tchila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orechu mi'ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kivod Adonai, alayich mila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha uv'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, boi chala.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Mekabela. בת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה. Music by Ilana Arian. If you want to know any more about these composers, any of our cantors will be happy to share a few words. I believe that Ilana Arian actually participated in some online salons with our WRT community this past winter.
She did, and we also hope to bring her to visit WRT as one of our music programs in the fall, so stay tuned.
We remain standing for our call to prayer, page 146, Baruch.
Do 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 do. Blessed is the blessed one. Blessed is the giver of blessing. Blessed in this moment now and every now to come. Blessed is the blessed one. Blessed is the giver of blessing. Blessed in this moment now and every now to come. Come all of you. Shavuot, our holiday on which we commemorate receiving the Torah, which starts tomorrow evening, a poem called The Torah by Rabbi Eric Bram, Zichrono Livracha. The Torah was written by your great-great-great-grandparents. It is not a book or 5 books or 6 or more. The Torah is a letter written by someone in your family a long time ago who did not know you by name, but who knew you would come along. It was written by someone who loved you and wanted you to be from somewhere, to have some idea of what it was all about, to have some semblance of faith and optimism and struggle and meaning. The Torah is an inheritance, not a book. When you read Torah, you don't read it like Tom Sawyer or Archie comics. You read Torah like a fragile handwritten letter addressed to you using your Hebrew name on the envelope, which you found in your grandparents' attic. You read it not with your eyes, but with your heart. It's a family treasure that God and Moses and 100 generations of your family made sure you got. On page 150, our prayer Ahavat Olam, where we feel God's love through the gift of Torah. Ahavat Olam. Israel, Amcha
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Love Adonai your God with all your heart,
With all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart. Teach them faithfully unto your children. Speak of them when you sit in your house,
when you walk by the way,
when you walk by the way,
when you lie down,
and when you rise. Bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be for from
between
your eyes.
Write them on
The doorposts of your house and upon your gates, and upon your gates. Teach them faithfully. Teach them faithfully unto your children. Speak of them when you sit in your house,
when you walk by the way,
when you walk by the way,
when you lie down,
and when you rise,
and when you rise.
Thank you. Music by Julie Silver, previously by Debbie Friedman. We'll hear more Debbie tonight. And we'll sing a Micha Mocha with a melody by Debbie Friedman. But as we prepare for our song that acknowledges the moment in Jewish history where we went from bondage to freedom and we marched arm in arm across the raging sea, I want to bring in front of you an image that is very much front of mind for me because it's wedding season. And almost every Saturday night in May and June of this year, I have the privilege of standing under this or that chuppah with wonderful couples. Now, when I first became a rabbi, which was 22 years ago yesterday, all the way up until 2015, when you sign the marriage license, there's a part at the top that says bride, and then right below it, there's a part that says groom. And the bride supplies her information, her name, her date of birth, her occupation, her address, and the groom does the same. 7 years ago, a very small and yet at the same time a monumental change was made to that document. Because now it does not say bride and groom, it says spouse A, spouse B. Let us not take for granted that that change came after not years, but decades and decades of American activism, often paid in blood. Let us not take for granted that freedoms which are perhaps easy to take for granted because now it's a thing that's 7 years old, or maybe we're thinking about things that are 50 years old, like the ordination of women or Roe v. Wade. Let us not take for granted that the freedoms which have been won with American toil and American blood must be ours to safeguard. And so when we sing Micha Mocha tonight, let us commit ourselves always to be ready to march again. We're going to sing together, melody by Debbie Friedman, page 158.
turn to page 160 for Hashkivenu, our prayer where we ask God to spread a tent or a sukkah of peace over us. Perhaps our tent is our own Sukkot Shalom this evening. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu
Sukkot Shlomecha, ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha.
Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night,
Till we wake with morning's light.
teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Amen.
164. Please rise.
Open up my lips, and let my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot ve'Imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, Le'ma'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch Atah
Adonai,
Magen Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל,
מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומיתו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה.
ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני,
מחיי הכל.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We'll continue our prayers silently during your personal meditation. You may feel moved to read from the prayer book or offer a private meditation. You can do so either standing or seated, and we'll know it's time to pray as a congregation together again once everyone has taken a seat.
Acceptable
Rabbi Leah Citrin comes to Westchester Reform Temple, where she will not only be an associate rabbi of the congregation, but she will also, and especially, direct our Jewish Learning Lab. She comes following 6 years at Temple Beth Or in Raleigh, North Carolina, as rabbi and Jewish educator in that congregation. Her growing presence, not only in her previous congregation, now here at WRT, is most recently marked by her election to the Board of Governors of the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion in her capacity as the chair of the HUC Alumni Association, and we are thrilled to have her leadership being expressed on the Reform Movement's international stage as well. Of course, all of this flowering of her Jewish leadership comes from seeds that were planted in deep and fertile soil right here at Westchester Reform Temple. She is a true bat bayit, which literally means a daughter of the house. This is Rabbi Leah Citrin's synagogue of origin, having grown up with her family, her parents Joanne and Barry, and her sister Abby, right here celebrating Shabbat each week and sharing Shabbat, learning, and it's all good. Learning and being part of our community. And in fact, Rabbi Citrin may have gotten her rabbinate started, and amazingly, this didn't dissuade her from going into the rabbinate. She was my very first senior options intern at Westchester Reform Temple. In her senior year of high school, when I was a baby rabbi, Rabbi Citrin, then just Leah, answered to my beck and call. Following her time in high school, she attended Bates College and went on from there to teach at the Windward School, and from there to her rabbinical training at my alma mater, the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion Cincinnati campus, and from there, of course, as you've heard, to Raleigh. But we are so thrilled to be able to greet Rabbi Leah Citrin in this moment of homecoming and here to offer tonight's Devar Torah. It's very, very happy privilege for us to welcome you back. Do whatever you need to with
the mic. I'm going to count to 5, and then you are going to give me that thing that you are not supposed to have. This is a sentence I find myself saying a lot lately to our 2-year-old. I'm grateful she still complies most of the time. Even if she isn't thrilled about the idea, she will hand it over. But not until I count. Sometimes she even asks for me to count. What is it about the counting that changes her willingness to comply? She definitely still wants whatever it is that she has. For Eliana, my counting is a buffer. Those last few moments give her a chance to appreciate something and prepare to give it up. It allows for transition. Tonight is the final night that we count the Omer. For almost 7 weeks now, we have been Jewishly counting each day as we head from slavery in Egypt at Passover toward the freedom to worship God and receive the 10 Commandments at Shavuot. We count to mark time and to give ourselves the opportunity for reflection and growth. We create space for transition, knowing that living in slavery is very different than living as free people. For the past 7 years, I have been counting the Omer with my chavruta, Rabbi Dusty class. This practice has become more and more meaningful to me over the years. I ground myself in Jewish time and appreciate each moment in the present. Time moves so rapidly that counting each day allows me to pause and be conscious of it. With thanks to social media, I can look back at previous years of Omer counting and remember where I was at this time in the year, even as I was in a different place in my life. This year, the counting of the Omer has been particularly valuable as these past 7 weeks have been extra full. packing an entire house and moving 6 beings, 2 adults, 2 kids, 2 dogs, from North Carolina to New York has been a challenge, even when it means, in some ways, coming to a place that I know. Every night after I put the girls to bed, I paused in the middle of the chaos of boxes and packing tape and bubble wrap to sit down, color the Omer, and ponder the question or prompt my Omer coloring book presented. This year, my practice of counting the Omer has given me the time and space for my own transition. How perfect, then, it is for me to be standing here on the bima of Westchester Reform Temple as the newest member of the clergy team. It is a transition both for me professionally and personally. Many of you know, actually all of you know now that Rabbi Blake has shared, that I grew up here at Westchester Reform Temple, and I've even delivered a Devar Torah or 2 over the years. But tonight is the first time I do so as the director of the Jewish Learning Lab. I am grateful to all of you who have already helped with the transition, and I look forward to building relationships with the rest of you as I get to know you and this place anew in the coming weeks and months. In this week's Torah portion, B'Midbar, we see another kind of Jewish counting. Moses is instructed, Se'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael, take a census of the whole Israelite community. Moses, however, has very specific qualifications for who actually counts in this census. The purpose of his counting is military preparedness. And in counting only the men who are 20 years and older, Moses leaves out an awful lot of the Israelite people. People who we would most certainly count in 2022, be it for military preparedness or any other reason. So tonight, as Rabbi Blake has already spoken about, that we celebrate pride. We take note of how people counted or didn't biblically, and we make sure to count and celebrate and appreciate all members of the LGBTQ community. Pride Month began as a commemoration of the Stonewall Uprising, a series of spontaneous demonstrations by members of the gay community in response to a police raid that began in the early morning hours of June 28, 1969, at the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village. The police raid was allegedly related to liquor license issues, but the larger issue was that gay and lesbian people had nowhere safely to gather. In 1969, they fought back, and every year since then, in honor and in memory of those events, the LGBTQ community has come together in celebration, showing up in community to remind the world we count. Every person counts, and every person is deserving of the same rights regardless of gender identity, sexual orientation, race, religion, or socioeconomic status. Beginning in 1999, the United States named June Pride Month, an opportunity to come together across the country to show support, allyship, and partnership with the LGBTQ community, to make sure that this population knows that they count. We all count. And so I will close tonight by inviting you to join me in counting the Omer for the last time this year. The tradition is to not say the number we are about to count until after the blessing. So I will tell you that last night was 48 days of the Omer. We begin with a blessing. The blessing is the formula that you recognize, and the last 3 words are Al Sfirat HaOmer. So I invite you to join with me. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al Sfirat HaOmer. Hayom arba'im v'teisha, shehem sheva shavuot la'omer. Today is 49 days, which is 7 weeks of the Omer. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Yasher Koach. Welcome aboard, Rabbi Citron. Welcome with your family, Rabbi Brian Nelson, your beautiful girls, Maya Yael, born in February, and Eliana, who's 26 months, something like that. And I know that you and your family are officially the Nachas machines for Joanne and Barry, who very proud parents tonight. Welcome. So happy to have you with us, and we feel so good about the ways in which the light of your Torah will inspire the next generation of Jewish learners here at WRT and, of course, well beyond. We're going to take a moment to reach beyond the perimeter of the tent and think of loved ones who can't be with us tonight because perhaps they lie on beds of sickness or pain. Perhaps we are thinking of people we know who yearn for spiritual or physical strength. And every single one of us can also use this moment of praying for those who need healing to remember that there are millions and millions of God's children out there tonight who are worried about a loved one who has been afflicted with COVID-19, or who they themselves are struggling, perhaps because they don't have access to the vaccines and boosters that most in our community were able to access very early on, and which are saving lives every day. If you would like to share the name of a loved one for a prayer of healing, a Misha Berach, you can stand and say your names aloud, or offer those names quietly while you remain seated. And our WRT community is also praying tonight for Rachel Rackhauer, Jennifer Leventhal, Roberta Friedman, Jeffrey Millman, Esther Bat Mechel Varezel, Rachel Bracha, Steve Grodzinski, Sarah Horan, Grace Neidish, Avram Ben Miriam, Elizabeth Hartz, Tony and Gina DeLappa, Matthew Atwood, Anthony and Elizabeth Dankner, Deborah Kapnick, Nicole Shusi, Neil Glaskall, Leah Greenspan, Masha Batsora, Aviva Tzila Bat Esther Bela, Andrew Goldstein, Ken Master, Chava Batsara, Eliyahu Chaim Ben Fredel, Sheila Fried, Malka Tzipora Bas Rachel, Fredel Tilly Bas Leah, Tamar Bat Malka, and Heschel Meir Ben Davida Chana. Please join us. The words are on page 371.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say
We rise for Aleinu, page 586.
Bayom hahu, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad.
As we begin the book of Numbers, we count our loved ones, those who died at this season in years past, those taken from our midst recently. And by remembering, we remember how much they counted in our lives and how much we could count on them and their gifts of love and goodness. We would like to acknowledge mourners in our community by asking you to rise in the following order. If you are within a first 7 days of having laid to rest a loved one, would you please rise at this time? Those who are within 30 days of remembrance, please rise. If you are within a first year of remembrance, would you please rise? Those who are observing a yahrzeit tonight, please rise. And as we bring comfort to you who mourn, let us also stand for those who have been killed in hate crimes against the LGBTQ community. Let us all rise as one. Tonight, our WRT family remembers Mickey Burke, father of Howard Burke, Lillian Starr, mother of Ron Starr and Wendy Starr, Gloria Bronstein, mother of Glenn Bronstein, Charles Bronstein, Adam Bronstein, and Wendy Horwitz, Molly Cernow, mother of Ronald Cernow, Larry Simon, father of David Simon, Ginger Smerling, mother of Linda Shapiro, and Bruce McVitie, son-in-law of Sue Phillips and husband of Carol Oakes, all taken in the last 4 weeks, as well as those whose yahrzeiten are commemorated tonight: Sylvia Allen, Jeffrey Michael Barnett, Karen Beltran, Leonard Blitzstein, Abraham Bloomstein, Jennifer Friedman Chalk, Bernard Cohen, Anna Solomon, Jacob Cohen, Anita Dagenshine, Ethel Disick, Jacob Feintuck, Stanley Geller, Irene Gersh, Clara Glickman, Sue Ellen Globus, Burton Gordon, Sidney Grant, Sylvia Hausberg, Emily B. Henschel, Dorothy Hodas, Barton Hexter, Robert Kaplan, Stanley Mark, Ralph W. Kern, Myron Clayman, Shirley Kramer, Laura Kresny, Gerald Lakow, Sarah Marcus, Bertha Laxer, Harris Lefrak, Rudolph Mariam, Leonard Marks, Albert Mazer, Alex Millman, Alfred Nadler, Frank Nathanson, Max Pearl, Donna Reisman, Ludmila Reckless, George Roberts, Louis Roca, Ruth Rocklin, Francis Rogers, Charles Rosenthal, Judith Scheib, Doris Schneider, Sarah Schreier, Ellen Siegel, Rita Seltman, Alfred E. Stern, Ruth Strauss, Bernice Tamarin, Herbert Temkin, Harry Tombach, Arthur Willis, and Harriet Zweifach. Together with all whose names are inscribed in our hearts, let us say Kaddish for all of them and give thanks for the gift of life. The words are on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shemei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael,
Ve'imeru amen.
Once again, I'd just like to welcome the entire Citron family. It seems like just yesterday that we celebrated sharing Shabbat next door, but welcome back. I'd like to thank our greeters this evening, Donna Rabin and Freddie Finkelstein. Thank you so much. I'd like to wish the Brian Goldman and his family a hearty mitzvot for their bar mitzvah on tomorrow, as well as Winston Schwartz and family as well tomorrow. Some quick announcements. We have Torah study tomorrow morning as usual at 9 a.m. in person or live streamed. Tikkun Leil Shavuot, celebrated tomorrow at 7:30, hosted in person at Scarsdale Synagogue Temples, Tremont, and Emmanuel via Zoom. The confirmation service, I'm sorry?
It's and in person.
Oh, and in person, I apologize. So, didn't say that on my notes.
I'll be there.
Rabbi Blake will be there, and it'll be in person. We have confirmation service Sunday morning at 10 a.m. indoors and live streamed, so don't miss that. We also have Shabbat service next Friday, sponsored by the Men of Reform Judaism, where we're going to present the Brotherhood Award to Scott Silberfein. We will also present the Tracy Kreisberg Award to our confirmation class student, Riley Meltz. Congratulations to both. Juneteenth Shabbat on Friday, June 17th would be outdoors here, and it's a big event. We're going to join Pastor Stephen Pogue and the entire choir of the Greater Centennial AME Zion Church of Mount Vernon for an uplifting service. Please don't miss that. It's a wonderful time. And last but not least, Shabbat Under the Stars, featuring our very own Pete Malinverni Trio on Friday, June 24th. Shabbat service followed by Oneg and musical program. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Shabbat Shalom.
Big June for Shabbat, so please keep coming and bring friends. We'd love for you to rise as we prepare to conclude our
Ose shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'bratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidasha mikohamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim. Amen.
If you like the people next to you, you can put your arm around them as we make motions together.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.